How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the second part of the League of Ireland Zone podcast. For this part, we're joined with Daniel O'Reilly of Drogheda. How are you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks for having me on, lads.
Yeah, all good. And we're back with Jonathan. How are you, Jonathan?
I'm good, yeah.
So, Daniel, obviously this season you're playing for Drogheda, but you've been playing football in the League of Ireland and abroad for a long time. So, first of all, how would you describe yourself as a player to people that maybe haven't seen you play?
Um, well, obviously I'm a defender, so primarily it's my job is to defend, but I think I bring a lot of other aspects with my game, like passing. I think that's a real strong point. I think I can start attacks from defence as well, and even the way we play with Drogheda, I think I am a good asset. Look, obviously against the bigger teams, you won't have the ball for as long. But I think definitely passing is a strong attribute I have. Then I think over the last few years, I've really focused on defending, and then as I've grown, obviously gotten older, I think I want to try improve more on leadership skills and stuff. So, um, yeah, that would be it. Obviously, look, we're never going to be complete footballers. Um, Even Premier League players will tell you that. But if you can keep adding to your game and keep improving different aspects, then look, you're gonna improve all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So, am I right in saying that you came through schoolboy football at Cherry Orchard, is it?
Yeah, Cherry Orchard, yeah.
So were you always a defender coming through, or were you pushed back further back down the pitch as you got older?
Yeah, well, I was actually at Ballyulster from
Ah, yeah,
like a kid, like, and then under 11s I went to Cherry Orchard. So when I was at Ballyulster, I was playing left wing, and then like I was playing a year above at Ballyulster, so um that was where I played there. And then when I signed for Cherry Orchard, I was a bit bigger than the lads my age, so
yeah,
I was put in centre back, and then from there I just stayed there the whole time, like.
yeah. Solid. So then, you obviously went across the water to Fulham. What age were you when that happened?
I moved over when I was 16, but I was over and back from, yeah, about 15. So I was over and back for about a year. I've been to other clubs, obviously, training with them, and then I decided to sign for Fulham then, and moved over then when I turned 16.
Oh, brilliant! How did that opportunity come about? Did you go and trial at Fulham, or were they scouting the teams over in Ireland, or what's the story there?
Yeah, so like from probably from the age of 13 at Cherry Orchard, I was going over and back to different clubs.
Yeah, yeah,
They'd scouts in Ireland looking at us, and then from 15s, I was playing for Ireland then as well. So obviously, look, you're in the eye more than when you're playing for the national team. So I got more opportunities then when I was playing for Ireland. Started going over then to Fulham when I was 15, and then I was over and back to a couple of different clubs, and then just decided that at that time, like Fulham was the best option for me. Like,
yeah. Solid. How is it like? Did you move over by yourself at 16?
moved over by myself.
Wow.
Yeah, little kid I was.
How was that
That grows
experience?
you up. Yeah, look, it obviously matures you and makes you more independent. At the start, it was obviously tough, because you really are only a boy, like. Look, I missed home at the start, but after the first year, it was grand. Adapted quite quickly, and I think it made me grow up more as a look, obviously as a footballer, like, but as a person as well. You nearly have to become a man in the couple of years you're over there, like, because you're independent and you're looking after yourself.
Yeah. Um, Maybe a bit off topic, but obviously now in the League of Ireland, it's probably evolved a bit more underage. You have, 13s, 15s, 17s, and 19s. What was the system like over here when you were coming up in football, playing for Cherry Orchard and moving over to Fulham?
Yeah, to be honest, it wasn't. I didn't really see much of it. To be honest, it was probably non-existent. Because that would have been 10 years ago. Like, Jesus, I
Yeah.
sound old now. Yeah, like 10 years ago. So, there wasn't really that option for me. Or other lads my age, probably for the year or two younger than me as well. It was all literally, look, you go to England or you don't. And then like after say a year or two, when I went over, I started seeing people signing for say Pats. Um, I think it was only 19s. I might be wrong, but there definitely wasn't 15s or
Yeah.
17s, and obviously I think there's 13s now as well. So
Yeah, there is.
that opportunity wasn't really there for players. So now obviously looking at it, you've got a couple of options. You can obviously stay or you can go across, and I think staying is obviously a big opportunity as well, because if you can see that pathway going from schoolboy into first team, then I think it's a really good opportunity because the younger you are playing first team football, I think it's much better because you can go over to England and not play a first team game until you're 20, and then you come back to Ireland, then you've no first team experience. So, um, I think people need to realise that playing first team level as soon as you can, it can really mature you as a player, like, you know. So, that's a big consideration I think of for the kids now growing up and whether they have the opportunity to go across the water.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll probably see more of that as academies start to get better. Obviously, you see at Roadstone, at Rovers, it's great facilities now. I'm sure you'd agree. And obviously, Drogheda, Pats, and all the other teams are definitely making the right improvements at this stage. So hopefully, people do stay back. Because another thing that you always see the PFAI talking about is education for players. I assume it's a lot easier to get, your leaving cert done and everything when you're staying at home.
Yeah, definitely. And like, even if you say to yourself, look, I'll do the leaving cert, I'll obviously play 17s or whatever age group if you're good enough to play 19s, and then see where you go from there. You know, obviously, you have to speak to the club you're at and see what their plan for you is because, like, you know, if there's a first team manager there that likes to look at you, has you training with the first team, then, like, you know, it could be a great opportunity for a kid to start playing as young as he can. Like,
Yeah. So when you were at Fulham, is there any players that you played with have had to have made the next step and are still playing at a high level at senior football now from your age group?
yeah, we had a good team, to be fair. We won the under 18 Premier League when I was there, so we'd a lot of good talents, like similar age to myself, like some a year or two younger as well. You know Patrick Roberts,
Yeah, yeah.
Collie Woodrow, he's at Barnsley now. Um, Moussa Dembele at
Oh wow.
Atletico Madrid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who else was there? Um. So a few that are playing in Scotland, Liam Donnelly, I think he's at Motherwell, and then a few others that were in League One and League Two and stuff. So like overall we had a really good team, you know. There was obviously some good individuals, but as a team there was a lot of talent there, you know, and you could tell that obviously look some would eventually step on to a higher level, like, you know.
yeah. Solid. So am I right in saying then you went on loan from Fulham to some of the teams in lower league England? So Hereford and Eastbourne, where I have written down here. So
Yeah, well,
what was that like?
I actually didn't go on loan to them. I'd signed for them, so I'd finished with Fulham. I
Ah, okay.
signed with Hereford, and they actually went bust when I was there. So,
Oh wow.
um, obviously, look, there was a lot going on behind the scenes that I didn't know before I signed. So, I went there. Then I was at Eastbourne as well, because I wanted to try stay in England, you know, to
Mm,
see, look, could I build myself back up? But I just kind of decided then that it was best for me to come home, you know, and I didn't really know a lot about the league at the time, to be honest. It's only when I came back that I realised that the standard was obviously really good and that like it was a good opportunity for me at that time. So I definitely think it was the right decision.
yeah. So I have written down here. You came back to Bray in 2015. Is that right?
Yeah,
Were they in the Premier Division at that time or the First Division?
yeah, they're in the Premier Division.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. So
um,
stepping into the deep end.
yeah, straight in. Yeah, but I didn't really know like what to expect. You know, I spoke
Yeah,
to them. I spoke to Bose as well, and I just Bray would give me a better opportunity, and I knew that I'd have a better chance of playing then, you know. So that was the reason behind me signing for Bray at that time.
what do you think about the standard comparing, the likes of Hereford and Eastbourne to Bray when you came back? Was it a similar standard or was one better than the other?
I would say when I was say at Eastbourne, that was in the Conference South, so it was more physical, you know, like not necessarily loads of long ball, but just like you know the play was more physical. Like there was obviously good technical players, but it was just like you know there was some big lads there, you know, and I think like when players are in England and you know they get released from say Championship clubs or League One and they have to go down to say like Conference or Conference South, like they'll get harsh realization, like you know that it's not all nicey academy football. So in terms of that, like it's definitely more physical. But when I came back to Ireland, I thought like there was some good technical players. That the tempo was obviously better than academy football because it's more real. Um, but like in terms of standard, I think you know there's some good teams in the Conference South, but overall the standard of the League of Ireland would have been better. Like you know, and it's
Yeah,
still getting better all the time. Like
Yeah, definitely. So in that Bray team, I think you stayed up in 2015, didn't you? It was
Yeah,
the 12
we
team
did. Yeah,
league back then, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So was there any players in that Bray team that you're still mates with now, or maybe you played with then later on in your career?
Chris Lyons, Huey Douglas, both at
Oh yeah,
Drogheda now.
yeah,
Who else was there? That was. I'm trying to think. Bray. There was a couple of older lads that I played. David Cassidy,
nah,
Alan McNally. They'd be older now.
yeah,
But yeah, the only ones that I really would have played with since then would be Chris and Huey.
yeah, solid. So then you moved to Longford. So how was that experience? Because obviously I think you started to play a bit more games at Longford.
Yeah, no, it was good. And the first year I was there, I was still quite young, so it was still kind of adapting at that time,
Yeah,
I suppose. I was playing left back, I was playing centre back, so I was kind of going between the two. And I think when you're young, obviously you just want to play, so you're not really fussed like once you're in the team, you know. So,
yeah,
I hadn't really nailed down where I was playing position wise, so I think it wasn't giving me problems, but because I was so young, like people weren't saying, "Oh, look, he's a centre back or he's a left back." It was kind of like, where does he play? You know, torn between the two. But
mm,
then, the more I stayed at Longford, obviously, established myself more as a centre half, and then kind of from there, it was just fully focused on that position then, and obviously getting more game time made me more experienced, and I grew then as a player. Like
yeah. Is there any position that you prefer to play, left back or centre back, or are you
centre
just happy
back,
to be on the pitch?
100%.
Yeah,
Obviously, look, I'm happy to be on the pitch, but my main position is centre half. I don't. Well, I can't say I don't think I'll play left back again, but I think I'm seen as a centre back and I'm known as centre back now, so that's
yeah,
kind of where I base myself.
yeah. So you played with Longford for 2 years, is it? Yeah, 2 years, and then you
2.5, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and then you went up to the Premier Division again with Finn Harps. What
yeah,
was the experience like playing under Holly Horgan and Paul Hegarty?
yeah. It was great. Look, I had a really good year there.
Yeah,
The main attraction for me was play Premier Division football.
mm,
Again, and I think I was at the stage where I'd played a lot for Longford and I was consistent. So I think it was time for me at that age to step up and see, right, can you give it a good go and obviously maintain it and stay then. So that was the reasoning behind that. And I really enjoyed it playing under them too. They obviously played me a lot. I felt confident. I felt like I grew a lot during that year. I think we had a great group there as well. Obviously, we stayed up. Um, but like for me, it was only really going to be probably a year thing, just with the travel and the location and stuff. So I
yeah,
definitely got out of it what I wanted at the start of the year.
yeah. So I think I could be wrong here, but I think it was with Finn Harps. You scored an amazing free kick against Bowes, wasn't
Yeah,
it? In
that was
Dayland,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, a one
What
hit
was going through
wonder.
your head there when you decided to shoot?
We were losing at the time. We were losing. I think it was 5-2. So, there was a free kick. I just says, I'm just going to hit it. Like, just not hope for the best, but obviously, I believe in my ability from free kicks. I taken them before all the way up. So it wasn't like it was just right. I'm on it, but like there was nothing really to lose at the time with the scoreline. So obviously, look, it would have been better if it was more meaningful in terms of getting a
Yeah,
result, but it was just kind of like scored right, run back, get ready for them to tip
yeah,
off, like
yeah. I saw you didn't even celebrate. Why weren't you celebrating? It was a great goal.
because we were losing five
Yeah,
two, so I couldn't really celebrate,
yeah. I guess.
Yeah,
Um. So then you moved back to Dublin, playing for Shells.
yeah.
So under Ian Morris, what was the competition like at Shells? I know they had a decent team and brought in a lot of players. So what was that experience like?
Well, at the time, Shells had obviously just got
Mm,
promoted, so there was a lot of kind of ambition there for them to do well, and we started off well, before obviously COVID hit and stuff. So,
yeah,
um, for me joining there, I obviously wanted to be at an established Premier Division club, and I thought Shells were going to be going in the right direction in terms of league places and stuff, and they were kind of a sleeping giant at the time,
definitely. Yeah,
um, still are, but yeah, it was look, it was a mad year last year in total for obviously the whole league. The stop start and no fans and stuff. So it was a difficult year for obviously Shells getting relegated as well. For me, I didn't feel like I obviously didn't play as much as I wanted to, but it was definitely a difficult year, I suppose, as a whole for the club and for me personally as well.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
sorry, and how, as a player, did COVID affect you with no fans?
Um, well, definitely at Shells, like in the first few games, like we played Pats at
Yeah,
Talca, we played Dundalk at Talca and it was full house, you know. So when you're walking out, it's just like, you know, you don't need to get yourself motivated
mm,
or pumped up. You're just coming out, adrenaline running. Like it was actually so good. Like playing probably 3 or 4 thousand, you know, packed flares everywhere. Like you know, it was
yeah,
just that's what you want.
Yeah,
Like you know, that's why you want to play. That's you know, you're playing at the end of the day. You're playing for the fans, so you want to show them, like you know, put the performance on for them. I think that gives you that extra, you know, couple of percent during games, even if you're playing against the likes of Dundalk and Pats, who on paper are probably better and are presumed to win, you know. So, then when you're playing those games without fans, it's obviously more difficult then because you know there's no one there shouting you on. If you
mm,
concede, you know there's no one to get you going again, rally you up. So, I definitely think after that, I think we missed the fans, like especially at Talca, like you know, because we were used to from the first 2 games of full house.
yeah. I remember that Pats game actually. Good header from was it Cabia or was it Fernandez?
Yeah,
yeah, it was
Jay's.
Cabby.
Yeah, Jay
Yeah,
scored one
Cabia.
nil.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
header actually.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
it's
Yeah,
very annoying as a Pats fan.
yeah. Then we parked the bus.
Sure, it worked.
That's it.
Um,
Yeah,
all right, so now obviously this season you're playing at Drogheda. Uh, I'm not sure what you think about this, but from the outside looking in, it seems like there's a good feel good factor at Drogheda. Obviously you're starting the season after 12 games, is it? You're playing very well. Fourth in the league, is it? I think it's
yeah.
fourth, yeah.
Fourth in the league at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah, and you've obviously killed a few giants. You're very unlucky to concede last minute against Rovers. Um, Obviously beat Pats a couple of weeks ago again.
yeah.
Um, how's the experience being going to Drogheda, and what's different from Shell to Drogheda?
Well, I think at Drogheda, like obviously it's still early days in the season, so you can't really read too much into it.
Mm,
But I think they've got a really good core group. They had a really good core group before I joined. They made some really good signings, smart signings with some experience. And like I think just the spine of the team, you know, it's got a good balance between experience, you know, to bring in the likes of Gary Deegan, Dane Massey, Dinny Cork, and you know, they're all players that have been around the league years and they bring so much to the group because there's some really good young players at the club at the moment who have played there for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think Tim did really well to hold on to them and keep that core group because like you can just as easily sign 8 to 10 players just because you got promoted and you go, right, we're going to get Premier Division players, but that doesn't necessarily work all the time because these players haven't played with each other, you know. So if you're
yeah,
adding only a couple of players that bring experience, bring different aspects to Drogheda, you know, the way they play, then I think it's really benefited us so far. You know, I think we've surprised a few teams in how we play. I think we're quite expansive as a team, you know. When we attack, we go for it, like you know, and obviously, look, you can be quite vulnerable defensively, but that's like you know, as a defender, that's what you want. You know, you need to be able to defend if your attacking players are going to try score goals.
yeah. How is it like moving to Drogheda now? Obviously, you're a bit older. You know a few players from your Bray days, and obviously Gary Deegan and Colin McCabe's gone to Drogheda now, isn't
Yeah, Collie, yeah, yeah.
he? Yeah, has it made it a bit easier knowing a few players coming into a club?
Yeah, definitely. It's not like, you know, a whole new place where you need time to settle. You've already know players from being around the league as well. So
Mm,
obviously, look, it's a quite a close knit league in terms of players. You know,
yeah,
nearly everyone knows everyone. And if you've been around for a few years, you're obviously going to know these players and playing against them. You might play with a few like Chris and Huey. So it makes that kind of adjustment much easier. So it didn't feel like I was coming into a completely new group where I had to get to know these lads. I already knew them, and after a week or two, it was like I was there a few months, you know. So that obviously helps.
how's it been like playing with Dane Massey? Obviously, he's such a veteran in the league, and obviously you and him have started centre back for most of the games. How's that been playing with such a veteran?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Me and Dane get on really well off the pitch as well as on the pitch. He's helped me out a lot in terms of his experience, you know. He's obviously won loads of league titles, played in Europe for Dundalk. And he'd be similar to me. He's left footed, obviously. So, um, like you know, coming in during pre-season and stuff, I was kind of like, you know, not taking it all in because, like, obviously, I'm not a really young lad either, so I've been around, but I'm watching what he's doing, and obviously he's played at the top level in the league for a reason. So kind of just taking notes myself personally, seeing right what's he obviously done to play at this level, and you can see it straight away when he's in training how he presents himself, how he plays. He's very smart with his experience. Like he's a top professional. He's very fit. So, look, it's great to obviously play with someone like that, and I think we complement each other quite well. And yeah, I think Dane's been a brilliant addition to Drogheda this year.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you have the two fullbacks who've been very good, James Brown and Connor Kane. So, how's it like, having, being pretty certain that you have cover on from the two fullbacks that are getting up and down all the time? Because obviously,
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say they're both very good. I think James Brown was pretty unlucky not to even be nominated for Player of the Month last month. So, what's the experience like playing with two players that are obviously so good attacking and also have your cover if you ever get done for pace or whatever out wide?
yeah. Look, the two lads are flying. Like we do mess calling them Trent and Robbo. Like but no, like they're good lads as well. They're willing to learn all the time because they're only 22. Like so, they've loads to learn still. But at that age, they're in a really good position. I think it's really important for them to play games consistently in the Premier Division. So for them staying at Drogheda, like they could have easily, like they had a really good season both of them last year, so they could have easily moved elsewhere. But they realised the importance of games at this level. So and you can see straight away from the first whatever half of the season or that they adapt well. They're top players, and
Yeah,
I think they've really bright futures ahead. Obviously playing beside them, and then Dane, and it kind of has a nice complete look to the defense. Like we've got lots going forward, but defensively we're solid as well.
definitely. You got any
Mm.
questions to add, Jonathan?
Yeah, just kind of you kind of touched on it already, but like, how would you sum up your overall season so far? Like, expectations weren't too high for Drogheda as they've only come up, but you seem to have done pretty well. Obviously, being in fourth.
Yeah, look, like I said at the start, it's still early days. So we wouldn't really be looking into where we are right now. Obviously the goal for us was just to stay up, like, and anything else will be a bonus. So it's more so like see where we are in another 10 games, and then kind of go from there. There's still a long way to go. We were obviously disappointed losing to Derry on Friday. So we've got a tough couple of fixtures coming up in the next few weeks. We've Sligo, Bows, Rovers, and Dundalk. So they'll be tough games, but we go into every game believing that we can get a result. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on. But at the moment, like obviously, look, we're very content with where we are. But we just take each game as it comes and see how far it can take us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, do you have any goals as a player or as a team as well, just for the rest of the season yourself?
For me, I just want to play as much as I can and play every game that I'm available for with my own performances. If I play well, then I'll stay in the team. So that's obviously the main goal. I need to maybe score a couple of goals. I've had a lot of chances over the last few weeks from set pieces, so maybe get a couple of goals, and then just as the team, we just want to try win as many games as possible, be solid defensively, and I suppose score goals as well, which you've done so far. So look, if we keep maintaining how we're doing at the moment, we'll be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Um,
Anything else, Jonathan?
what has been your favorite game so far this season? There's been quite a few good games for Drogheda.
Do you really want to know? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I know. Look, obviously we've played some, like obviously beating Pats was a really, like, I suppose people look at that as a scalp, but like we would have went into that game thinking we're at home, we can win here. So I think other than that, like I enjoyed beating Longford away was a really good result because that at the time we were about level on points, so that really set the tone for the next few weeks for us. So I thought that was a really important result, and to score a few goals, I think it kind of alerted teams that Jesus Drogheda are a good side. So probably those two games.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
game even shows how good you were defensively because although it was a 4-0, I thought Longford created a fair few chances in that game. And, for you to keep a clean sheet was pretty good. So definitely well played in that game.
Yeah, look, if any game you keep a clean sheet is
Yeah,
brilliant for me. That's what I thrive on, you know. Look, obviously, if the lads score goals, brilliant. But you know, if we keep a clean sheet, it's going to look good for obviously myself. But as the team, you want to try concede as little as possible, and you're going to have to depend on your attacking players to score as well. So, yeah, no, definitely happy with that game.
yeah.
Um,
Anything else?
was playing against Longford different than playing other teams? Because you obviously used to play for them. Like, does it feel different? Kind of coming up against an old team.
Um, to be honest, not really, because there's no fans or anything, so I'm not really getting that experience
Mm,
of, oh, I'm playing away to Longford and the fans are there or whatever. Like it was the same when I played up in Finn Harps, you know. But like I played at Finn Harps and Longford, and I got on really well there in terms of like myself with the club and the fans. So it wouldn't really be, you know, one of those places where you're going to get abuse or
yeah,
anything. So well,
yeah.
we'll see when the fans are back. But no, like look, obviously you want to try beat your old teams. Anyone that says they don't is lying. Like so, to beat your old teams is obviously brilliant. Like
Yeah, definitely. All right, I think that's us done now. Cheers for your time, Daniel. Thanks very much.
no problem, lads.
So boys, that will be out later tonight. So once again, thanks, Daniel, and best of luck with the rest of the season.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for having me on again.
No problem.